Taking a look at the wild card picture and how it played out a year ago. The Islanders and the Panthers, the two teams in at the end, 93, 92 points respectively. And then look at the Penguins and the Sabres. Oh, so close, 91, 91. And then you have the Sens, Red Wings, Capitals, and the Flyers. Pittsburgh, one of those teams that was in, and then we talked about the run the Florida Panthers went on. The Panthers get in, and Pittsburgh gets out. They make some big acquisitions this offseason, none other than Erik Karlsson. Is he the ticket to get this team back to the playoffs this year?
Well, it'll be fascinating. I mean, like, there's a Norris Trophy winner who had an unbelievable year. He had 100 points for the San Jose Sharks. There was all this discussion about whether he was going to be traded or not. It was going to be a difficult deal to make, and in the end, it was a three-team deal with the Montreal Canadiens involved helping things out, and they get Karlsson. I mean, listen, he's a great player. He should certainly help the Pittsburgh Penguins be better. I just wonder, they also have Chris Letang there. How will those guys coexist? They're going to, let's face it, Chris Letang is used to being the right shot, number one offensive defenseman on that team. Now Erik Karlsson is there. So that's going to have to be worked out amongst those guys and amongst the coaching staff. When I look at this group of defensemen, they added Graves. He's a big guy, but he is not a physical guy. I think regular season, Weeksy, I think this group will be okay. I do wonder if they get into the postseason, I don't know if that's a rugged enough group to survive a 7-game series against some of the more physical teams in this league.
Yeah, that will be the challenge because they certainly have a lot of offense now with the addition of Erik Karlsson, 3-time Norris Trophy winner, Chris Letang, who's as good as any Norris Trophy winners. We know that with his illustrious career to this point. But what'll be interesting is puck distribution. How does that work? There's only one of them out on the ice.
Are they on the same power play unit? Or do you
Question.
split them up?
They're going to try that. I mean, it seems like they're going to put Letang in that, like, Ovechkin spot, but he's not known as somebody that have that one-timer per se. I'm sure he can do it, so that'll be interesting. You've been in those locker rooms, Weeksy. It's easy to say, oh, we put all these nice
looks
pieces.
great on paper.
It does, but, like, these are human beings. They're used to certain things, especially at this point of their career. So we'll have to watch that, I think.
Yeah, we'll have to watch it. I'm curious to see. But on the physicality side, I certainly agree with you, too, on that. You need to have that jam. You need to have those guys that can match up, that can box out in and around the net, that can also be punishing at times as well with some bone-jarring clean hits on the opposition. I'm curious to see how that does for them.
All right, so we talked about Pittsburgh.
Just one quick thing on the Penguins I had, too. Kyle Dubas, right? New manager. I think he is. The good thing that he's done is he moved out guys that didn't fit and has helped bring in guys that should make the Penguins better. And again, will fall on Tristan Jarry.
All right, so Pittsburgh finishing with 91 points. They missed the playoffs by a single point. Kind of a disappointing year for Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, Buffalo finishes with the same amount of points, and it's okay. Buffalo's here. Oh, so close. The expectations in Western New York right now are higher than they've been in the last decade. What are real expectations this year for Buffalo? Is the time now to make the playoffs?
That's the way people think externally up there in Western New York. I've been there twice so far this offseason, and from speaking to a lot of people there, they feel that this is their year to get into the postseason. Tage Thompson, the big man, he's Kevin Durant of the NHL right now. He's so skilled for such a big player. Jeff Skinner had his resurgence. He's looked exceptionally well. Same thing for Tuck, going back basically home for Alex Tuck. He's really elevated his game. Rasmus Dahlin's a stud on the back end, Owen Power. But to me, a lot of this is going to come down. I know this sounds crazy. Number one, are they going to defend better as a team because they're young and offensive and up-tempo? So one, do they defend better? And number two, I think this young stud, Devin Levi, is going to make a seamless transition to the NHL this year. I really do.
What does a seamless transition look like? What does that mean?
It looks like you're unafraid of the stage. You see Shesterkin down there, you're going head-to-head. You see Sorokin down there, Vasilevsky, you're going head-to-head. You feel and believe that you can compete against him, not just from the skill, because certainly he's had that. We saw that at Northeastern in the World Juniors as well. But have the confidence and the belief in yourself, and to this point, he certainly has that. He's a mature young man. Everybody raves about him. He's on a real upward trajectory. I think he's going to make a smooth transition this year.
That'll be the big thing, right? Because they went out in the offseason, they added Connor Clifton from Boston, they brought in Eric Johnson from Colorado, so two right shot guys, one a little bit more experienced, and a little Cliffy hockey there going to Buffalo. But that'll be the thing. Do they defend well enough in front of him? And will he be able to be the guy? I mean, because you thought maybe they would bring in that more experienced guy to work with him, and there's uncertainty in the crease in Buffalo. And that's, to me, where I do worry and I do wonder. I like Devin Levi. He has shown well at other levels he played at. He played well when he came in last year, but that's a small sample size.
True.
I don't have to tell you, Weeksy.
No.
7-8 games at the end of the year is a lot different than an 82-game schedule when you're the guy that you hope to be there for 50, 55 games.
Yeah, no doubt. So that's something that bears watching. Can and will they commit to defending and playing a more complete brand?
200-foot game.
200-foot game.
Something else that bears watching, Patrick Kane, line one.
Yeah.
Ooh,
I'm
go
just
back
saying,
over to
there's
Buffalo.
rumors that the Sabres are interested. That might be a nice little fit.
That'd
there
be sick.
when Kane comes back fully healthy.
Yes.
Let's move on to another team kind of in the same category as Buffalo. The Ottawa Senators' expectations are right up there as well. Didn't get off to the greatest start last year just based on the injury to their goaltending situation in Cam Talbot, but they got a lot of the core young guys back again, ready to take that next step. New ownership, new era in Ottawa. What are the expectations north of the border in the capital of Canada?
You're right. It's very similar because you have all these outstanding young players, young, gifted, upscale, talented, and all the rest of it. Claude Giroux had an outstanding year. He always off-seasoned in the Ottawa area, and now he's a member of the Senators. He had a big season for them last year as well. Big thing for me, Tim Stützle is a star in this league.
No question.
And Tim Stützle, when you watch him play, not only does he wear Hossa's number that Hossa wore when he played there, he plays a very similar game to him right now in his style, which is the ultimate compliment. Hossa, Big Hoss, is a Hall of Famer. So Brady Tkachuk is the man. There's a lot to love about this team, Eej.
I'm bullish.
I'm bullish
I
on
am
them.
bullish on the Ottawa Senators.
bullish on
And
them
they're
too.
loaded on defense. When you think about Sanderson in his second year now, and they added Chychrun to the mix last year, and you know they've already had some other pretty good defensemen in that group. And what I like is they've shored up the goaltending with the addition of Korpisalo to go with now a healthy Anton Forsberg. I mean, I think that's when I look at Buffalo and I look at Ottawa. To me, that's the difference. I have a lot more faith in Korpisalo being the guy that can be there 55 games, 50 games, maybe Anton Forsberg coming off a pretty significant injury coming back. He's a big, strong goalie. I feel better about that duo than I do about what's happening in Buffalo, at least in the short term, because there's not a lot of experience there. So I like the Ottawa Senators a lot, and nobody is ever making any money in this league betting against the Tkachuk family. So Brady Tkachuk is an absolute monster. I think he's only going to get better this year. You mentioned Stützle. Listen, the Ottawa Senators, to me, they could be right there.
Sabres Sens, certainly two teams on the cusp of pushing for a playoff spot at the end of the season. Let's take a look at the standings from last year and some of the bottom teams in the Eastern Conference. The Blue Jackets, Habs, Flyers, Capitals, and the Red Wings. Of those teams, maybe one or two could make a big step and maybe surprise some teams coming out of the East. The Red Wings might be one of those teams, and we kind of lump them in the same category as the Buffaloes and the Ottawas. Young core, up and coming, is now the time to take that next step. Where are we in the Yzer plan right now?
Well, they've certainly moved along, and they've been, unfortunately for the Detroit Red Wings in this rebuild, they have never landed with the first overall pick, right? I mean, and sometimes you have to have good fortune. The Detroit Red Wings have struggled the last couple of years. There's Henrik Zetterberg, one of the greats, alongside his former teammate Steve Yzerman, a couple of Red Wing captains. But, so they haven't had that fortune.
The Devils, right? Multiple times.
That's right, exactly. And so, the Devils were able to land Jack Hughes and able to land Nico Hischier. I mean, those are huge additions. When I look at the Red Wings, they added Alex DeBrincat. Their name has been mentioned maybe for Patrick Kane when he's ready to come back and play. They made a lot of additions this year. But, Weeksy, for me, when I look at the Detroit Red Wings, the thing they're missing is the thing that you can get when you have a first overall pick. That legit, no doubt about it, number one center to build your whole group around. I love Dylan Larkin. He's a terrific player. They signed him to a long-term deal. But for me, he's kind of a 1B or a 2. That's no knock on Dylan Larkin. At any given time in this league, there's only 20 or 22 really legit, no doubt about it, first-line centers. So Detroit, because they don't have that player right now, to me, I still look at them. I mean, Buffalo was lucky. Tage Thompson emerged as that player. Ottawa's got a guy like Brady Tkachuk, a difference maker. Who is that guy going to be for the Red Wings? And that's where I think they're lacking a little bit.
Yeah, no, those are good points. And the challenge with the Red Wings, too, is, pardon me, we know they haven't been great defensively. Not that they don't have some good defensemen, but they haven't been great as a team defensively. Their goaltending has not been all-world elite either to kind of bail some of that out, and those two go hand in hand, of course. So curious to see what they look like this upcoming season. But at some point, you want to see a little bit more traction in Hockey Town.
All right, we showed the standings and the team at the very bottom, the Columbus Blue Jackets. And boy, did they have a tumultuous, turbulent offseason, whatever you want to call it. A lot of people out there rooting for this team just based on some of the struggles that they went through. They land Adam Fantilli, kind of fell into their lap at the draft. Everybody thought he was going to go to number 2 to Anaheim. He goes to Columbus at number 3. A couple of big additions on the back end. Are they bottom feeders again in the East, or is Columbus maybe going to surprise some teams?
Well, listen, they had a very unique thing happen to them, obviously, early in training camp with the whole Mike Babcock story. He was going to be in, then he's out. That's one of those things that, to me, could go two ways. And you can see Pascal Vincent is going to be the new head coach there. It can go two ways. The team can either really rally around each other, which I think there's a good chance that'll happen this year in Columbus, or it could go the other way. I like the idea of the additions they made. You know, they brought in Damon Severson from the Devils, gives them a little. They're getting Werenski back healthy. Keep an eye on Patrick Laine this year. They're moving, it looks like, to the middle this year. And you can see they added Provorov on defense. So their defense, if they can stay healthy, that's more of an NHL defense. With Laine, if he can make a transition to the middle, they got Johnny Gaudreau, you have Fantilli, Boone Jenner's a good player. I mean, they've got some young guys within their group that can take a step forward this year. But Weeksy, again, it comes back down to if you defend better, you commit to the 200-foot game, are you going to get the saves when you need them? And we just don't know. Yeah.
And Texier coming back, I'm curious to see how he's going to do, but he's been really good so far in camp from speaking to people there. Big opportunity for Elvis Merzlikins. Huge opportunity.
It's time.
This year. It's time. He's got the skill. He has the size. He has the ability. Now it's about him putting that all together and playing to the level he's capable of playing at. And that will go a long way to them not only elevating their team game, but establishing a style of game. Because now with the departures of all the Bobrovsky and everybody that was there, I don't really know their style of game. It's not really defined right now. So I'm curious to see what that looks like this year.
All right, we'll see how it plays out this season in Columbus.